Right, we are recording. Okay, Myx3, some of you know Myx3 is a platform that is used to create virtual machines with Sage X3 on them. Sage X3 and in a number of cases, many other things. It's based on Amazon Web Services, and it's a self-service with a self-service layer added to Amazon. So this is going to be hands-on. What you need to know is theoretically, all of you have access to the platform, so you can actually try it out as I am showing it to you. You're going to see how you access the platform and what the credentials are that you need to use, but basically you can try it out while I'm showing you. All right, let's go. So as I said, this is going to be hands-on mostly. We do have slides, so I'm going to share my desktop. Share my screen. There you go. I'm going to share my desktop. We do have slides that we will be sending you later today. So you'll have them tomorrow morning first thing, your time. But rather than just flipping, from slides to demonstration to slides to demonstration, it's mostly the demonstration. You're going to see it's very easy to use, very intuitive. So the slides you really need as a reference later. So let's jump right in. Myx3 is a web platform, so you need a browser to use it. Any browser will do. There is a shortcut address, which is my-x3.com. Very easy, my-x3.com. Brings you to this home page where you can click the Start Now button, and you will probably be required to authenticate. And this is the first important information. To authenticate, you just use your Sage login and password, your Sage domain account and password. So you can try it out right now and just tell me if it doesn't work. If it doesn't, it means you just have not been given authorization to access the platform. Once you do get access, you get to your dashboard. The dashboard just shows you a summarized view of what's happening on the platform. Because I am the I have an administrator profile, I can see a lot of things. You're not going to see as much stuff as I do, which is great. But basically, you have a link to your machines, the machines that you have created. You have a link to filter showing just the machines that are running, currently on and running, stopped, expiring, etc., etc. Up there in the My Resources link, you also have the same kind of links to your machines, your running machines, and a number of other stuff that we're going to see later. Right now, we're going to just have a quick check, have a quick look at My Machines. You have two sections in that dashboard. You can see your own machines, the ones you are the owner for, but also the machines of other people. You've been given access to them. Because I'm an administrator, I can see all the machines on the platform. I can see 449 machines that are currently in use, on or off, but in use on the platform. You shouldn't see anything right now in there because probably most of you have not created any machines of their own, and most of you are not administrators, so you cannot see the machines that are owned by other people. So the first thing that we are going to do on this platform, just to demonstrate how it works, is to actually create a new machine. The principle of Myx3 is that you have a catalog of what we call blueprints. Blueprints are template machines that the product delivery team creates. That contain a number of different things, depending that you can select, depending on what you want to do with the machine. Typically, we will produce for each release, each patch, each version, we will produce a new template. And possibly two new templates. One that is that has basically Sage X3 and a number of basic things. And another one that has Sage X3 and a number of basic things and connectors and the pre-sales layer that is mostly used by pre-sales to demonstrate the product with prospects. So it has a number of stuff that are added, for example, to the seed folder. It has, all the bells and whistles, the home pages, all the connectors and OEMs that you can find. And you can also find a number of other templates that are specialized in other stuff. For example, a template with, Salesforce connector, a template with a manufacturing planner, stuff like that. So the first thing we're going to see is when you want to create a new machine, how you can search through those templates, through that catalog to select the machine you want. To create a new machine, just press New Request. There's the button up there, New Request. Press that. And you are given access to the catalog of blueprints. It's just a table of blueprints, identified by a name and a description and a group. Now, again, because I'm an administrator, I can see a lot of stuff. I can see, how many of those? 149 blueprints. You have probably access to just the stuff that you need. I'm not sure how many you can see in there, but you will not see all of that stuff. To search for a blueprint, you're mostly going to use the name of the blueprint. What we've tried to do is standardize the names of the blueprints. I'm going to use the slide to show you how we've standardized that. There you go. I don't know if this is visible on your screens, but basically, by the way, please interrupt me if you have any question. Okay, I want this to be interactive, not just one way. So, to search for a blueprint, you're going to use the name. The name is standardized in the following way. First of all, you have a prefix, X3, and then you have a product code. Product code is ERP for just Sage X3 ERP, HRM for the old Sage X3 HR products, which I think you do not have in the US. PTL for Sage X3 People, which is the HR product from version update 9 and on. And GEO for Geode, which is the WMS product. Then you have a dash and a version. Versions are V6, V7, and then U8, U9, and then back to V from 11 and on. And then the patch level with a P to identify the patch, P01, P02, P03, and so on. The localization of the machine, the generic global machine is GLO, but then you might have templates that are created by specifically for countries, for certain countries, like France, Spain. I'm not sure what ENG is. There shouldn't be any ENG. BRI for Britain, etc. Then you have the database, the OS, and database. with a slash separating them. Then you have the team. Team is kind of indicates the kind of destination of the machine, whether it's used for it's meant to be used by pre-sales, for example. It'll have PRE. Meant to use by support, it'll have SOUP. Meant to use by training, it'll have TRN. It doesn't mean you cannot use those, but it means they have certain things set up to match the requirements of pre-sales, support, or training. Then you have the country, if applicable. Then you have all the additional add-ons and OEMs that can be included in the machine. If there are any, you'll have a plus EDM, plus PJC, plus SEI, and so on. And then you have other stuff that might, indicate if the machine has a specific destination. What we're going to use mostly is version, patch, and maybe localization. So let's try that. Let's illustrate that. Any question until now?
Hey, Stefan, so I've seen also the INT and the EXT. What are those referencing, internal and external stuff?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I missed that. Was that in the slide? Yeah, no, it wasn't. Okay, internal and external refers to the firewall settings by default that are applied to the blueprint. Basically, internal means that the remote desktop port, which is 3389. I'm going to explain how the firewall works on Amazon, but internal means the remote desktop port and I think the HTTP port, which is used by X3, are open on internal Sage IP addresses. We've tried to collect all the IP addresses for all the countries, and we've opened those addresses. We've opened 2 ports for those addresses on those int templates. Ext means that the remote desktop port is open on all IP addresses, just the remote desktop port. Obviously, there is an authentication mechanism, so you can't just remote desktop into the machine from anywhere. You need to have the accounts, and credentials to be used by the machine. All right? So, in order to search for a blueprint, I'm going to use that filter button on the name column here, which is the only one, kind of standardized right now. We're going to add the description later. Right now, the description is automatically generated, but we're going to add an intelligible description later. Right now, you should use the name. So use that filter funnel there. And for example, I'm going to search for a version 11 patch 2 or patch 3. I'm not sure if Saad is on the call, if patch 3 has been released, but I'm going to search for, yes, okay, so I'm going to search for V11 patch 3. So I'll select contains, and I want the name to contain V11 patch 03. All right, press filter. There you go. So we have 4 blueprints with a version 11 patch 3x3 in them. All 4 of them are the global blueprints, so these are not the kind of big pre-sale stuff. With a Windows, so you can see the name here indicates that it's a Windows 2016, SQL 2016, and it has Office 2013 on them. The reason why I'm seeing 2 of those as external and 2 of those as internal, not just 1, is because I'm the administrator, I can see all the security groups. So I'm just going to filter by my group, which is my Myx3 Global, just so you have a clear picture. There you go. So this is what you should see, which is basically 1 for external and 1 for internal. Okay? once I've chosen the blueprint that I want to use, just click the blueprint, and you'll get, sorry, and you'll get a window that will allow you to select a number of settings for your machine. Right now, we're going to review the simple settings that you really need to, that are really needed for you to create your machine, and then we'll see more advanced stuff, okay? First of all, the number of machines you want to create. You're not going to use that much, but for training people who are preparing for example, a training session with 20 delegates, 20 students, they can create 20 machines in one shot just by entering 20 in here, and they'll get a single instance for each of their students. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're just going to create just one machine. The least duration is the number of days your machine will be will last until it expires. And when it expires, it's going to be deleted from the framework, from Amazon. So this is an important setting. Just make sure you don't set it to just one day unless you're really testing something, and you just need the machine for 24 hours. But try and set it to a reasonable lease, or as we're going to see later, not on this screen, you can set it to never expire. Right now, I'm going to set it to the maximum I can on this screen, which is 100 days. Okay. You can select a name for your machine. It's not critical. It's not mandatory. But okay, let's select a name. I'll call it Training NA, and a description. Okay? And the only other setting that you really need to look at is the scheduling. We're going to talk about scheduling in detail later, but scheduling is basically a utility that powers your machine on at certain times in the day and off at certain times in the day. Why is this very important? It's because the costs that are incurred by your machines are directly proportional to the time the machine is on. The costs on Amazon, the major part of the costs, is CPU time. So as long as your CPU is running, you are paying for the machine. All right? So it's important that you set your machine schedule to the exact schedule that you need, depending on the usage you want to make to your machine. If you know that you're going to use a machine during the day but not during the night, then you choose the, again, I can see a lot of schedules in there, but you should be able to see, those UTC -7, 7:30 in the morning, 6:50 in the evening, Irvine time zone. So that's PCT, for example. That will run the machine at 7:30 in the morning and turn it off at 6:50 in the evening. Okay? So I'm going to use a French one. When you're done doing that, selecting your schedule, again, we're going to go into more details on scheduling later. You also have, just for your information, a always-on schedule, which basically keeps your machine on at all times, and a always-off schedule that basically keeps your machine off at all times. And you also have one important, very important schedule, which is, I guess, the one you're going to use the most. It actually turns your machine off in the evening, but you can turn it on anytime you like, manually. It just waits for you to turn it on. But if it's on, it'll turn it off at a specific time in the evening. All right.
Now, is that actually powering down the machine, and like where you have to start, we have to reboot it?
Yeah, you have to. I'll show you how you power it on from this platform, from this screen. Okay. Yes, but you do have to power it on if you want to use it. otherwise it's off. So once you've done that, again, general settings, the number of machines you want, the lease duration, a name if you want, if you like, a name and a description, and then the scheduling. Once you've done with that, just press submit. And within a couple of minutes, your machine will be created. All right. So here I should be seeing a new machine in my list. So I'm gonna expand this to 10 items per page. I should be seeing a new machine on my list with, there it goes. Okay, so I called it example for NA training. The status is building machine. So it's telling you that the machine is being built. And if I refresh this, within a couple of minutes, it should change to provisioned and then on. Okay? So we're not going to wait for it a couple of minutes. We're going to review some of the stuff I discussed earlier. First of all, the lease. Remember the lease duration, I can set it to 100 days. Whatever the lease is, at the lease expiry, the machine is deleted from Amazon. I think, Saad, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we actually keep snapshots of the machine just in case. But you should be aware that your machine actually disappears. Obviously, you will get emails before it does. So you get an email 7 days before the expiry, and then within the last 24 hours before expiry, you get an email every 2 hours reminding you that the machine is going to expire. If you don't do anything about it, it's deleted at the expiration date and time. If you want to change the lease, you either you have a menu on the right here that says change lease. If you click that, you can select a new date for your expiry. So you can see right now my expiration date is September 8th, 2017, which is probably 100 days from now. But I can also set it to never expire by clicking this checkbox and submitting. That's it. As easy as that. Okay? Any question until now? My machine is on, guys, so I can access my machine now. Okay? Let's see. So we just talked about the lease. Let's talk about firewalls now. So right now, what I just did is created a machine of my own. So it belongs to me, see? And I know it has Sage X3 on it. I know it has Office 2013. And I can now use my machine. I can use it in a number of ways, Obviously, it's an X3 server, so I can connect to just X3, using the X3 URL, or I can remote desktop into the machine and just use the machine from within that machine, any way you want. But there's one important thing here. It's the security and the firewall. On the right, you can see you have edit firewall rules. This allows you to, by default on Amazon, everything is closed it's because of, default security is we do not allow any inbound or outbound data stream to access, well, basically inbound data stream to access the machine. But, so so on Amazon, everything is closed by default. On our templates that we have selected from the catalog of templates, remember, the blueprints? Remember I said we have two types of blueprints, int and text. internal has a certain settings that allow people from Sage to, so from within the Sage network, to be able to remote desktop into the machine. And Ext has just the RDP remote desktop port open to the outside world. I think I remember I used an Ext template. Let us see what the firewall rules are that have been defined on that template. And this is where you go, edit firewall rules, click, and it'll show you that on this machine, the 3389 port, which is the default remote desktop port, terminal services, remote desktop port, has been allowed for all addresses. 0.0.0.0 means all IP addresses. Okay? Which means if I remote desktop into my machine, I should be able to access it. Okay? So I'm going to try that. Remote desktop into this machine. You have a menu on the right, again, that says connect using RDP. I'm going to click that, and what it does is produce an RDP file for me, if it wants to, whenever it wants to. Yep, there it goes. And that RDP file shows, oh, come on. There we go. I just opened the RDP file in a text editor just to show you what it contains. Amongst other stuff, it contains the machine's address, the machine's public name, which is this on the top. The machine also has an IP address, but basically you can use that file, just click that file, and it'll open remote desktop for you and connect you directly to the machine. All right? It's going to ask you for credentials to log into the machine. So the question is, where do you find those credentials? Just like the name of the machine, credentials are also standardized, but they are listed in a document called the release note that we release with each of the templates of the blueprints that we release in a catalog. So I'm going to show you where you find those release notes, okay? There's a chatter group called Myx3 that you need to join that we use to communicate about what we're doing on Myx3, the templates that we release, any issues that we encounter if the platform has to be shut down for maintenance, etc. That you can also use to ask questions. And people, either other users or admins or SAD or myself maybe, will answer you. Also, on this group, so search for Myx3 and just make sure you are members of the group. On the left here, in the info and useful links, you will find a link. Well, there's a link to Myx3. You'll find a link to an email that you can use to also ask questions, but it's better to use the chatter group. And you will have a link to Myx3 release notes. Myx3 release notes is a SharePoint site where you have all the release notes for all the blueprints that we release. So I just used the version 11. where is it? Version 11, patch 3, blueprint. There you go. Version 11, patch 3, blueprint. So I'm going to open that document, the release note. Release note describes everything that is in the blueprint, how it's been installed, where it is installed, in which directories, what are the credentials for SQL Server, what are the credentials for the machine itself, instructions on how to transform the machine into a VMware extractable self-contained machine, the different accounts that you can use if you want to, if you want to default languages, default settings, etc. Okay. So make sure you read that. But basically, the instructions are the same for all the templates. It's always the same stuff. Usually, let's look for that. There is an administrator account. Administrator. Yep.
It's better to use the admin.
Yep. There's an administrator account, which is the local administrator of the machine. There's also an X3 admin account, which is the one you should use if you want to have your desktop with, all the X3 links, the useful files to start services or stop services, things like that, and a number of other accounts. But basically, these are the two main accounts that you're going to use. The administrator, if you want to, really manipulate the machine and need administrator access, or X3 admin if you want to be, an X3 user in the machine, or X3 administrator. These are the passwords, okay? And this is what you need to use to log into the machine, simply. So I'm going to use the X3 admin account with the Sage 2017 password. Let's try that. Sage 2017, sorry. What am I doing? X3 admin, and password is Sage 2017. Press OK.
There is a mistake.
Sorry?
Okay. Sorry. It's okay, it's okay.
And here's my machine. Okay. So now I'm logged into that machine that I've just created. And I can run X3, for example. Here's the X3 link. And I have a number, because I logged in into the machine as X3 admin, I have a lot of useful links. I have a link to the console, to the Eclipse editor, development environment. I have, X3 Firefox, X3 Google, X3 Internet Explorer. A link to start. This is important. A link to start the production scheduler service. A link to start other services, etc. Okay. Outlook. Everything I need to use X3 and to work with X3. Okay. Now, just a quick remark. Version 11 machines are quite big because there are a number of connectors. There's SEI, no, not SEI. Planner, SEI. Anyway, there are a lot of services that will try to start at the same time when the machine is powered on. Obviously, you should give it a few minutes to power on and make sure that all the services are running. It is on cruise speed before you can use it. Okay? Any question? No question. Oh, let's keep it up there and come back to my machine. So to my Myx3, sorry. So that's it. The machine is on. I can use it. I have the link here to connect up using RDP. Let us check. Let us start looking at more advanced features. First of all, the edit button here, which is the first menu on the right, will show you all the stuff that you've that we've seen previously when we were creating the machine. And we're going to go and have a look at network parameters. Network. The few important things in here are the machine's DNS name. So this is the public name that you need to use if you want to access your machine, right? And this is the IP address that you need to use if you want to access your machine. Now, by default, on Amazon, when you turn a machine off and then you turn it on again, it is very likely that it will lose it will change its IP address. If you would like your machine to have the same IP address whenever it's on or off, or whenever it's rebooted, to retain its IP address, just like a machine that is on the Sage domain, for example, you need to assign what we call an elastic IP address to it that will stay the same. You can do this in two places. Here, right here, where you can choose a free IP address. For example, I'm choosing this. Just press submit, and it's done. Or, have I pressed? Yes. And it's done. Or, so now it has that IP address, and it will retain that IP address even if I reboot the machine or power it off and on again. Or you can do it directly from this menu here, which is the last one on the right. Add elastic IP. And obviously, it's going to tell me that this machine already has an elastic IP, so I can't do anything about it. But if it didn't, that's where I can choose. I can also choose an elastic IP for my machine. All right? When you create your machine, you can, right from the creation screen, you can tell it to assign an elastic IP. So again, version 11. Filter. I'm going to choose any one of those.
Why do we need elastic IP one more time?
The elastic IP guarantees that your machine has the same IP address throughout its lifetime. Never changes its IP address.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So when I create my machine, I can go in the, when I'm creating my machine, I can go in the network section here that we haven't seen earlier, and just tell it, just check elastic IP, and it'll, when I submit, when it creates the machine, it'll assign an elastic IP to it. Okay? Right. Any question on elastic IP? All right. Back to firewalls, just to illustrate how you change the firewall settings. So I'm going to go back to my machines. I'm going to select the one that we've just created. There it is, where it is. And I'm going to click Firewall Rules. remember, by default, it has the remote desktop port that is open from anywhere, and that's why I was able to remote desktop into it. Now, what happens if I want to use it as an X3 server? I want to access X3 from my browser here. Let's open a new tab and access X3. What am I doing here? So X3 is published on the on port 80, which is the default HTTP port. So normally, if I want to access X3, all I have to do is enter the URL, the default URL, with the name of the machine. So let's check it out. Here it is. The name of the machine is sorry, my bandwidth is a little. This is the name of my machine. So normally, if I want to access the X3 instance on that machine, all I need to do is HTTP and this. Let's see what it does. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. Yep. Can't reach. So why isn't it able to reach the X3 instance on that machine? Simply because the firewall settings will not allow it. Again, if I go into the firewall rules, I can see port 80, which is the HTTP port, is not open. So let's open it. But because my machine holds customer data, it doesn't actually. I'm just using this as an example. Let's say my machine holds customer data. I don't want this to be open, even if there is an authentication mechanism, etc. I don't want this to be open to anyone. I want this to be open just for my IP address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for my IP address. You can do that just by typing what's my IP into Google. And it'll tell you. So this is my current IP address. What I want to do is take this and say that I'm going to open port 80 for this IP address. Now, you're going to use the IP nomenclature. The way you define IP addresses is you use slash and then 32 or slash and then 64 or slash and 0, depending on which range of addresses you want to use. I think it's 32. Saad, correct me if I'm wrong, that we need to use for a normal IP address.
Okay, this one.
So there you go. This tells Amazon that any incoming traffic hitting port 80, which is the HTTP port, from this IP address will be allowed, but only from this IP address. Okay?
Yep.
Let's try it out. I'm not sure if I pressed submit, but anyway, let's try it out. Wow, working. All right. Default login usually to X3 is admin. And I should get to my X3 in a few seconds. quick remark on Amazon. Sorry if it's a bit technical, but Amazon uses disk caching. So when you first create a machine, it actually does not contain a complete copy of the blueprint's disks. It caches the blueprint's disks and goes and fetches the information as you are using the machine. So in the first couple of hours of usage of the machine, it's going to be a bit slow. And then, as you are using it and the disks are being accessed and the data is being fetched, you're going to see that it's substantially faster. Okay, so if you, for example, if you want to run performance tests, make sure that you run the test. That if the machine has just been created, it's just fresh from the box, the results will not be representative. So you need to run the test one time and then run it again, and the second result will be a true representation of the machine's performance. Okay. So this is Myx3. Let's log out.
That's a question. Do we have a list like common ports or anything? Like if we had two Myx3 machines that needed to communicate with each other, we'd have to add the port for like file sharing, right? So is there anything, do we have anything that people might use commonly?
Say again, for the IP port?
Just for the firewall settings in general, like we would have to add like the file sharing port if we wanted to share between two Myx3 machines, right? So is there a list of ports we might be using on a...
The UDP, yeah. What I've seen until now, I've only seen RDP 80, which is HTTP, HTTPS, which is 443. I haven't seen anything else actually anywhere. In a couple of instances, we've used, for example, a machine with X3 on it, another one with SageCRM on it, and we wanted to set up a connector, and we had to open both, the CRM port and the X3 port.
When you have two machines, you can use the private IP, not the public. It's better to use the private IP address. Stéphane, tu peux lui montrer l'adresse privée dans Edit?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
This one?
Network. No, yes, this one.
So this is your machine's public address. See, the public IP address is 34.248.114.11157, and the public name, which is also accessible, is EC234.248.114.157. Actually, I don't know what happens if you do this and you try to access the machine's file sharing capacity. Copy this. I'm pretty certain it will not give you access.
You need to open some, you need to do some setting.
The UDP port, which is, I'm not sure, 34, 33, 34. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We'll need to look it up, what the port is for file sharing, but yes, it is usually the same stuff, the same one everywhere. It's standard. Okay. Yeah, firewall setting. So basically, yeah, that's how you do it. If you want to use the X3 HTTPS port, you have to open the 443, which is the default HTTPS port. Same thing for your IP address, or for all IP addresses, or for your domain's IP address, because, for example, if you're connected to the SageNA domain, you will always have the same IP address, outgoing IP address, wherever you are in the company. It's not, you will not have an individual IP address. You'll have one IP for all the employees of SageNA. Right. So we've seen the lease, we've seen firewall rules, we've seen the elastic IP, principle of elastic IP. We're going to see schedules now. So as I said, there are different types of schedules. No, I'm going to go from there. Up there, there is a menu, my resources, my schedules. Now, don't be panicked because I have hundreds of schedules because I can see everything. But maybe I can search for UTC -7. No, that's a good one. So here's a few examples of the schedules that you can have, that you can use on your machines. I think the most interesting one is that one, manual start, and then off at 7 p.m. So basically, by default, your machine will be off. When you want to use it, turn it on, and the system will turn it off at 7 p.m. if you haven't turned it off yourself. Every day at 7 p.m., the system will turn off your machine. There is the default schedule, which is workday, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. There is another schedule that is always on. There you go. Always on. Always on makes sure that your machine is always turned on. So actually, if you turn it off, the system will turn it on automatically. Okay? And always off is the opposite. There's no always off. I don't know. I don't know what it's called, but basically, it's called no schedule. Sorry, no schedule. That's it. No schedule means your machine will be turned off at all times. It means if you actually turn it on, the system will turn it off. So it's forced to off. How do you turn on or off a machine? Always that menu on the right. You have shutdown. Shutdown is a clean shutdown. So it's the Windows shutdown, okay? Windows button shutdown. Power off is the hardware powered off. So if you unplug your machine from the wall. And power on, obviously I don't have the menu in here because my machine is on, but if I select a machine that is off, I have the power on button. Okay? Again, scheduling is very important because it allows us to control the costs. Make sure your machine is on only when you need it. If you're not using it at night, make sure it's not on at night. If you're not using it during the weekend, make sure it's not on during the weekend. All right. And the last bit that I wanted to show you is the snapshots. Now this is really, really interesting. Again, menu on the right, manage snapshots. You can create snapshots of your machine at any point in time, and you can clone your machine from those snapshots. Why is it so interesting? It's because if you want to run tests that are destructive, or you want to make sure that you save your machine's set up, once you've prepared your tests, you want to make sure that, and you know you have a clean situation and you want to make sure you keep that. Well, you can use snapshots. A snapshot is what it's called, a snapshot. It is a kind of, the machine is saved in its current state. So suppose I'm preparing for, let's say, performance testing, and I'm going to import, I don't know, 600,000 invoice lines into my machine. I've prepared everything, I've set everything up. I want to make sure that I can run those tests again and again and again and again and start from the clean situation every time. Well, what I do is prepare everything and create a snapshot. To create a snapshot, you just need to enter a description in there and press create. Very simple. Takes 20 seconds. And here is my snapshot. Okay? So now I can do anything I want with my machine. I can break everything. I always have the option to revert, to go back to the snapshot, which is the state of my machine at 31st/5 at 6:04 p.m. That's my French time, 6:04 p.m. Okay? How do I do that? How do I revert to the snapshot? Well, in the actions section on the right here, when you have a snapshot, you just click disaster recovery. Well, it says disaster recovery, but it can also be used even if you don't have a disaster to recover from. So just click that, and your machine will return to the state it was when you did the snapshot. Also, I create another machine from my snapshot using the clone option. Let's zoom in a little bit. Pressing clone will create a new machine from this snapshot. So you can basically you have a twin of your machine. I can select the number of clones. I can say if I want a elastic IP or not, and I can set the expiry date, and I can set the schedule just like a regular machine. Okay? And when I'm done, and oops, sorry. And when I'm done, I just tick that, which is illegal, just to make sure that you're aware that there is a cost, and click that. And I have a snapshot, and I have a clone that is created. So if I exit this and go back to my screen, I should see a new machine spawning from my snapshot.
Your snapshot is pending.
Oh, it's still pending. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but it'll be there. All right. Any question?
So to delete it for good, do you just do destroy, or do you have to do?
Oh yeah. Thank you. Yes. To delete a machine, you just destroy. You just use destroy, and you have the option of deleting the actual machine and everything that is owned by that machine. So you press all, or if you want to keep, I don't know, the additional disks that you might have added to the machine, or the snapshots that have been created from this machine, you just, for example, take virtual machine. If you want to destroy just the snapshots, you can delete them from here, but you can also delete them from the snapshot window. Okay? And just press delete, and it'll destroy it'll remove your machine from, I'll just do it actually. Destroy, all, and delete. Now let me show you the emails that are sent when you destroy a machine. Well, when it's destroyed. So successfully done. Okay, I can go back. I can refresh my dashboard. And there you go. Machine is gone. Okay. I have to wait for the email to cross the Atlantic back and forth. You get notification emails, and there's logging of all the, okay, it's not important, we'll wait for it, of all the important events that happen, like expiration, when a machine is destroyed, when a machine is created, and so on. Okay? I think that is it. Reboot is a shutdown and restart. Okay, might be useful in some cases. Edit, we've seen. Destroy, connect through RDP, change lease. We've seen everything. EBS optimization. Don't worry about that. Not used. Yep. Do you have any questions? You can start using this as of now. Again, you can use the chatter group to ask questions. That's the preferred method. Or you can email myx3@sage.com, but always CC Saad Bibot, who is in the call, who is the main guy, the administrator and the project manager for myx3. You can email him and he will help. Now we're going to set up support, first line support for the users, country by country, and basically in North America we're going to have a couple of administrators who will act as the key users and who should be able to provide you with first line support. So we'll set up separate sessions, more advanced sessions with the administrators to talk about cost, to talk about support, to talk about ticketing, how they can open tickets on myx3 if there are bugs on the platform, how they work with us to maybe escalate requirements or ask for new templates to be created, things like that. Okay? All right, open up to questions. No questions, great.
Stefan, do you have the online help, the wiki?
Oh yeah. You also have an online help on the platform, okay, on the tool that you can access from this link here, the question mark. It's pretty comprehensive. You have everything. You have everything in there, the details of how it works. So don't hesitate, just go there. But it's pretty intuitive. So don't forget myx3 chatter group and the release notes that should give you. I have a question from Krish. In VMware, we were allowed only one snapshot. Are we limited here too? No, you are not limited. You're not limited. So basically, you could create any number of snapshots you want. But just be aware that storage, even if it's not as costly as CPU, storage does have a cost. So use reasonably. Okay?
Thank you.
So Myx3 chatter group, and please use the release notes link to read the release notes on the templates to make sure you have the credentials and all the other information about the machine. All right?
So when can we start creating things? Is it immediate?
It is immediate. You should be able to access, and if you're able to access, you can just create. You can go ahead.
And the intention
be
behind
gentle.
this is really for items that we want to report to global, so that your team can access the instances also and be able to duplicate, so they don't have to do all the setup and all of that. Is that correct?
It is correct, but not only that. I mean, the purpose of the platform is to help you basically create the machines you need for your testing. If you want to, I don't know, if you have a complex issue and you have customer data that you want to install locally, you can use that. You can use it for any kind of testing that you do within your support role. Basically,
right.
Myx3 has 3 destinations: for support, for training, and for pre-sales. What we do not want to really open right now is professional services use, like, for example, using it in projects or using it with partners to kickstart projects, or with customers to work on, implementations, simply because there is a business behind that part of the usage, and it should be defined, should be frameworked by product management, which they are doing, but we don't want to open this just like that. Okay.
Right. But in North America, we do have access to VCD, so we need to balance the two because of the cost. We want to try and keep the cost down, so we have to understand what that balance is. So. Very good. Looks great. Right. You guys did a good job. Good. Kudos to you, Todd.
Thank you.
So enjoy.
All right. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All right.
And sorry we've run over a little bit.
Yeah, a couple of the guys had to leave, but they'll listen to the recording where they
left off.
All right, guys.
Thank you
so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.